Welcome to the Fly Route Pod. I'm going to cut to the chase. About 96% of y'all watching this video have not subscribed, and I need that number to go up to continue to make these videos and support the channel. So slam that subscribe button on your screen right now and hit the notification bell. And while I have you, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors at mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag is the best place for you to get your sports betting on. MyBookie.ag has live in-game betting on every NFL game for my diehard cappers and prop bets such as the over-under on fantasy points. Use promo code FLY and receive a 100% match on your first deposit up to $1,000. That's double your money to double your winnings with your first ever deposit using promo code FLY.
Let's not play, boy.
All right. I want to get into the fly route this week, and I want to talk about John Wall. Houston and John Wall have recently come to an agreement that he will be moved. He will not play any more games for the Rockets, and he will either be traded or bought out. And the distinction between the trade and the buyout is huge for me. John Wall has 2 years, $91 million left on his contract. A buyout makes this much more interesting for him because it is going to be very hard to move that contract because of how huge it is. And I think that most of the places that you can move that contract, whatever you have to bring back to Houston to make the salary match makes that trade not really interesting. It can't shake up the league. However, if he is bought out, we're talking about John Wall, 20-point-a-game scorer on a discount that almost every contending team could actually use. A trade will be hard with that contract, but it will not be impossible. And it is clearly Houston's preferred option. So I want to talk to you about the fly route for a John Wall trade. All right. Fly route for a John Wall trade. The first team that comes to my mind, and I don't think any team gets to being as good as this team does, and that is the LA Clippers. The LA Clippers trading for John Wall. Hear me out. The Clippers can actually get this done. They actually just have to wait till December for contract reasons for when they can actually trade some of these pieces. And I think that you give up Eric Bledsoe, Luke Kennard, and Justin Winslow. You could swap Luke Kennard and Morris if you wanted to. I think Morris is probably the more value to stay for the Clippers. And that's really only losing one player from last year's team, which would be Kennard or Morris, which is a significant role player, but you get someone with all-star potential if he can stay healthy and on the court. Someone that can run the offense, which has been a heavy complaint for the Clippers over the last couple seasons. It's why they went for Rondo, which failed as an experiment. It's why they tried to bring in Bledsoe right now. And Wall is an upgrade from Bledsoe for a minimal additional loss in Luke Kennard to get that upgrade in John Wall. And that contract is terrible, but it's only terrible for 2 years, this season and the next season. And you, if you're a Clippers fan, should be willing to eat that contract, especially this year, because you're not going to have Kawhi for the majority of the year, if any of the year at all. And you need someone that can burden share with Paul George going into this season and hopefully into another deep playoff run that you might not have Kawhi Leonard for. You don't have to overplay a John Wall in this situation because you also have Reggie Jackson on that new contract who can also take up minutes at the one, running the offense and providing some of the shooting that John Wall doesn't in different lineups. And this allows them to be competitive and build more playoff chemistry and then drop in Kawhi next year for their real major run. The championship window for the Clippers is next season, not this upcoming season where Kawhi Leonard is going to be hurt. So you'll have John Wall on an expiring contract, one last year. You'll have Kawhi Leonard. You will have Paul George. You'll have functionally a big three there where John Wall can be the third option, and you can see if you can really make a run with that core. If it doesn't work out, you can trade Wall again in that season. Hopefully try to get something back, or more likely, you can either get him at a discount after his contract runs up or just cut ties. And if you cut ties with that $47 million John Wall cost you at that time, you will have a ton of cap space. This is actually the really interesting thing to me. You will have a ton of cap space going forward into the 2023 free agency period. And that's a big fish here. Russell Westbrook is going to be available again. Bradley Beal is going to be available. James Harden, Kyrie Irving. If you're looking for a number 3 instead of maybe a number 2 to fit next to Kawhi Leonard, Andrew Wiggins is going to be available. D'Angelo Russell, Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Grant, Christian Wood. Look, 2023 is a big year. And John Wall might be the perfect type of cap and success management for the Clippers that really usher them into a continued era of success. Now, I just want to talk about John Wall. Like, what is modern John Wall? We all know what the perceived ceiling for John Wall is now. And that's just like, can John Wall ever get back to who he was prior to the injuries? And if he gets back there, he's a top 30 player in the NBA, arguably. But that's not even what a Clippers team needs when they are healthy. John Wall's last season, he played 40 games in last year. He averaged 20.6 points and 7 assists, playing 32 minutes a game. He can play make for others and score when he wants to. And even though he's not a great three-point shooter, career 32%, I am willing to bet right now that after playing his first season in basketball in about 3 seasons, his first season in about 3 seasons, and getting to exit that season healthy, getting to spend an offseason working on his body and training instead of rehabbing, that John Wall will look even better this next season than he did in his previous season. The second team for me is the Pelicans. And this is going to require some magic for the Pelicans. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to require the Pelicans to give up Graham and/or Hart, Sato from the Bulls that they got in the Lonzo signing trade, as well as Garrett Temple in the trade that they got from the Bulls. Then they're also going to need a second or third team to join in to get some salary to make this trade work. But we know that the Pelicans really wanted to make a move at point guard this offseason and in free agency, especially after they traded Lonzo Ball. The rumors were that they made a run at Kyle Lowry and they struck out. Earlier, I talked about how John Wall is a 20-point-a-game guy, 7 assists a game guy, is much more consistent and is a much more aggressive scorer than Lonzo Ball. Not shooter, but scorer than Lonzo Ball. Can play off the ball and cut with Zion when he's playing point Zion, but also allows them to switch back at times and allows John Wall to take control of the offense here and there when necessary. Most importantly, it brings in a veteran presence to that team that has succeeded in this league and knows what it takes to succeed in that league. And I will say this again. I hate to be that guy, but the Pelicans need to be doing everything they can to keep Zion Williamson in New Orleans. The front office needs to start getting a little NFC West-like, to use a football example, how the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Rams, and especially the 49ers have been aggressive in making every addition that they can, trading draft picks, making changes, even if they had someone that was suitable, i.e. Jared Goff, upgrade to Matt Stafford. You think Devontae Graham might elevate into what you need him to be, but elevate into John Wall because what you need is something for right now. This is the perfect situation for the Pelicans to go out and get it and try to take a big swing that makes Zion and his family know that you all are serious about giving him the ability to compete in New Orleans. That's great because it allows the Pelicans to upgrade at the point guard spot while getting value back. If Houston is moving this John Wall contract, they are moving picks with this John Wall contract. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, which means that New Orleans can get more picks, which they can either package into more experienced, proven players, or even more young talent to add into that roster, while upgrading at point guard. Only 2 years left on that contract, so by the time you need to extend Zion and get him all that money, you're either paying John Wall less or John Wall is off the books. And to be honest, I like John Wall, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Jonas Valanciunas as a starting 5. You either have Devontae Graham or Josh Hart in there playing the 2, depending on who stays when you make this trade. This is an above average starting 5 in the NBA. Is it a playoff team in the West? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And it might not be, but it gives them a much, much, much better chance than they had going into this season right now. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, can we stop trying to shoehorn Ben Simmons into this John Wall trade? It's only been like a day since this became public knowledge, maybe 2 at the most, but I've seen so many people try to shoehorn Ben Simmons for John Wall. That is not going to happen. If that would have happened, Daryl Morey would have taken the Brogdon deal that was on the table, or the Kyle Lowry deal that was on the table that he did not take for Ben Simmons. He's already shot down similar deals to this deal. He has made it known that the asking price for Ben Simmons is so high that there's no feasible way that this is the trade that's going to happen. If John Wall was enough to get Ben Simmons out of Philly, Ben Simmons would already be out of Philly. Now, buyout John Wall, I told you earlier, was a little bit different, and maybe Houston will finally get past the point of trying to move this contract because it's just too difficult and they cannot do it, and then it becomes a buyout situation. And when we get to the buyout John Wall phase, things do get significantly more interesting to me. More teams that are contenders can actually change and shake the landscape of the NBA through a John Wall buyout and then getting him at a discount afterwards. And here are the 3 teams that I want to give you for buyout John Wall. Now, the first one is Dallas, putting John Wall next to Luka to share some point guard handling duties, but also with Kristaps Porzingis. Dallas has a big 3. They still are able to play Tim Hardaway Jr. on the floor in that situation as well, which would give them the spacing that they need. Philly. And I told you, like, no trades. But Philly, they get John Wall on a discount. That is fantastic for them. And I think that they are definitely willing to take that. And then that might make the moving of Ben Simmons a little bit easier for them because they don't need as much back to keep a competitive team. And the last for me is Denver. Denver, buyout John Wall, definitely a candidate there. Denver could use some more talent, but Denver will also be missing their starting point guard and Jamal Murray for the majority of the season next year. So they definitely need someone to help fill out the minutes at the 1, give some passing and some scoring ability. Those are my 3 teams, if John Wall gets bought out, that I would like to see him go to really make an impact on the league. Let me know where you think John Wall should go. Put it in the comments. Make sure that you like wherever you're watching and that you subscribe